Pikmin is one of Nintendo's most underrated and underappreciated franchises, being always dealt a bad hand, such as being a late system game or being a Wii U game, which is a fate worse than death. Recently, with the 4th title being released, I became a fan of it. I played through the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and now 4th. The first game was one of the most unique experiences you could get on a Nintendo system at the time. Its blend of micromanaging and time management and just management in general just made it stick out among other Nintendo titles. Having a squad of Pikmin, just being confident that you'll get a part today, and then encountering the smoky Prague and then losing half of your Pikmin to it. It's just a feeling no other game can produce. It's such a great and simple game, and its sequel would build onto it even more. Ditching the day limit in Pikmin 2 was almost necessary with how much shit there is to collect. The gameplay loop is entirely new, more revolving around the new caves. These procedurally generated areas are tough. This is where most of the game's treasures, bosses, and overall challenge lie. Take, for example, Submerged Castle, where you are forced to use only blue Pikmin, and then proceed to throw many obstacles that are not for blue Pikmin, such as fire, lightning, and poison. And on top of all that, you have this big fuck-ass jello monster chasing you around, trying to smush your Pikmin because you're taking too fucking long. Although the caves were a good idea for this structure of game, I feel they overstayed their welcome near the end of the game, mainly because they take like 20 levels. I'm exaggerating, but that's what it felt like. Pikmin 3 returns you to the structure of the first game, trying to maximize how much shit you can get within a day. This time though, you're not collecting ship parts, you're collecting food supplies to keep yourself alive. Early game, this is real stressful because you don't have many fruits built up in your supplies, so you're kind of running on nothing. But once you get farther into the game and build up your food supply more and more, it kind of becomes a non-issue. Game is great though. It's more linear than the other games and has some more gamey bosses, which I kind of love. It falls short pacing wise. It felt like it needed a new area or two, because by the time you get blue Pikmin, which is the final Pikmin type you get, you're basically at the end of the game. It was also more laid back and easier than the last games, which I think was fine for what it was trying to do. Pikmin 4, on the other hand, goes back to the Pikmin 2 style of gameplay, with the caves and collecting treasure and all. It just takes everything good about Pikmin and just improves on it tenfold, and introduces more elements that just make the gameplay experience so much better. Caves are no longer generated, they're actually designed and have their own boss encounters in them, just like Pikmin 2. The overworld is huge with 6 different areas and a ton to do in them, and just the puzzles and everything, and fuck, the big jello monster is back! And Ochi. Ochi is the best thing that happened to this series. I wish I was exaggerating. I love this fucker. Ochi completely changes how you go about the game. You can ride Ochi with all your Pikmin and swim around, and you can fucking jump for the first time in the goddamn series. I guess if you don't count Hey Pikmin. He can go through fire, electricity, poison, as long as you have the upgrades. He's fucking Superman. Super Ochi. Charging him into an enemy just practically kills it. When you charge into an enemy, it throws every single Pikmin on Ochi on the enemy. So it's just a guaranteed win. If I'm being honest, it's a little overpowered. If you just pop a spicy spray, which isn't that hard to get, you can basically kill it within one charge. Having Ochi to help transport treasures, dead corpses, Pikmin, is such a game changer, but realistically should only be a one title thing. I do much prefer having multiple captains, as Ochi's a little less capable as them, even though Ochi's the cutest and silliest guy ever. I mean, overall, this game was decently easy, which I was a little disappointed in. Post-game is decently difficult, but like, up until the end of the game, it's not that hard. I think one of the main factors being that none of the enemies in the overworld respawn, like, whatsoever. Not even after a couple days like the previous games. I guess it's ultimately better for progression, but I wish, like, just little bulb orbs were respawning, because without anything to stop you from collecting all your treasure, you can just get rid of everything in one day and it's a cakewalk. Another thing that kind of makes this point more apparent is the rewind feature, which lets you rewind a couple minutes ago to before you lost every single Pikmin. I feel like if it wasn't as lenient as it is, it would be fine. If it was like just back to midday or back to the beginning or something like that, it would be a lot more balanced. But if it's like every 2 minutes like it is here, it's a little overpowered. Having it in caves too seems a bit redundant, because sublevels don't usually take that long, so What's the point of rewinding 2 minutes if the cave started 3 minutes ago? Another addition that's been pretty controversial in the community is the addition of Flarlix. In previous games, you could just right off the bat have 100 Pikmin out. Done. But in this game, you have to unlock that, which, again, this game is going a lot more for progression, that sense of progression of just being able to do more and more as you play the game. But I just wish they did it differently. See, once you hit 100, there's no going above that. And see, there wouldn't be a problem if there wasn't more Flarlix than there is available upgrades. If you get another Flarlix after hitting 100, you just get a bunch of Nectar and Spicy Sprite, which is already really common to find. I guess it really is just the series standard, and performance issues probably have a play into it, but I just wish they only gave you enough Flarlix to hit 100. Instead of giving you a surplus so that you just get it no matter what. Make getting them all a reward. Or just stop giving them to you at post-game. I still don't understand why they did that. One limitation that makes less sense is the 3 Pikmin type limit, which means you can only have red, blue, yellow Pikmin. That's it. You can't have any ice Pikmin, no purple Pikmin, nothing. Only 3 types. Why? It just kind of holds back the potential of puzzles. I just don't like it at all. I liked having like every type of Pikmin in one squad, so I felt like I could just take on anything. But with this, alongside just a button you can press that gives you how much Pikmin you'll probably need and what types you probably need for this area, it's a little too hand-holdy. And with a series that's practically known for its difficulty, it just comes across as strange. I get they want it to be like an accessible game. They want it to be the gateway to Pikmin, but I don't think this is the way to do it. Overall, it is a good gateway Pikmin game, a good starting Pikmin game, a good Pikmin game for people who've played the other ones, like me. Anyways, after a day in other Pikmin games, you just go on to the next day. But since you have your little hub area, you can go to this little fucker, and then you can do night expeditions for the first time in the series, when like everything's all dangerous. And woo, nighttime expedition, woo! You can't take any of your other Pikmin here. You get a completely new type of Pikmin, the glow Pikmin. Look at these fuckers, they're so cute, I love them! If you hold charge, you can ball them up into a big glowy sphere, and then just shoot them off, and it stuns an enemy, and they just swarm it, and fucking kill it in like a couple seconds. I love them! They're so cool, but I'm so glad you can only use them at night. They would be so overpowered if they were just regular ass Pikmin. At the end of a night expedition, you can get like a few glow Pikmin to take with you, which you can only use at night in the night expeditions or in caves if you're running low on Pikmin, or if it's a submerged castle. The night expeditions themselves are basically tower defense. You collect the things to get more Pikmin, to protect the thing. You know the drill. Gotta go against more powerful enemies, such as maybe a returning boss, like, oh fuck, the Smoking Prog, and oh god, there's 2 of them, and these ball blaxes, what the fuck is going on? Speaking of new Pikmin, the ice Pikmin are here. They can freeze enemies, so you can easily take down an enemy, but, with one T, if you kill them while they're frozen, you don't get a body. So, it's a real, like, risk-reward type of situation. That's not the right thing. What's the fuck's the... I don't remember the right term, but you know what I mean. But late game, you already have a fuck ton of Pikmin. You're not really gonna care if you don't get a corpse or not, because you have so fucking many of them. Each previous Pikmin type is also here too, including white and purple, which were omitted from 3. I love this game dearly. It's a perfect blend of the somber, calmer gameplay from 3, and its more chaotic and difficult gameplay from 2. And a whole Pikmin 1 inspired post-game with Olimar, which kind of fucks with the timeline a bit. We'll get to that later. The Dory challenges, they're basically kind of versus matches against a Leafling, which is a Pikmin human thing. I don't fucking know. This guy's definitely not Olimar, but you go against him a lot, and he has the big green ass dog, which is homophobic. There's also these ones, which are just collect all this shit within a time limit, and you get a big fucking gold medal. Congratulations, you got all the shit. For the first half of the game, these are alright. They're not too difficult, they're not too easy, they're fine. But near the end of the game, they get fucking hard. This is like the hardest part of the game. I'm not even exaggerating. Genuinely just put you to the test. And I will never get platinum on all of them. Fuck that. No way. After beating the main story before post-game, you get Olimar's Shipwreck Tale, which is Olimar telling you what the fuck happened before this, which is also a retelling of the first game, which kind of puts this game in a weird fucky place in the timeline, but that's not really for me to rant about, because I don't really give a shit. I'm a Zelda fan. I don't give a shit about timelines. Anyways, this is basically just a toned down Pikmin 1 with collecting ship parts, revisiting areas that you've already explored, but in like a sort of new context with new enemies everywhere. And you get Moss, the homophobic dog that I mentioned earlier, which is also the best thing ever. Although she is very homophobic. Look at that fucking look. She would call me a slur. I was a little disappointed that the treasures from the first game didn't make a return. It was a lot of just gears and screws and shit. It was a lot of reusing, which I guess is fine for a little side mode, but I would have liked more of that charm. It's still a really fun mode, and just kind of adds that stress of Pikmin 1 back into it, even for just a little small mode. Once you get through Olimar's thing, you get the Trials of the Sage Leaf, which is basically just a bunch of time challenges in a row, which get you the white and purple onion for the first time in the series, which is pretty neat. These challenges range from kill all the enemies in the area to collect this thing while being chased by 2 big fuck-ass jello monsters. God, what the fuck? Hey guys, Editor Lizzi here. Yeah, I kind of fucked up with this one. I may have confused this and the last cave, because the last cave has 2 water wraiths. This Sage Cave has just 1. Anyways, back to Pikmin shit. Honestly, the last sublevel kind of shows how overpowered Ochi is. I basically carried the purple onion all the way through with Ochi and had little to no problem. The final cave I just gotta talk about. It's so good. Like, it's a boss rush, which isn't pretty new to the series. That's been done before. But, like, the final boss is so good. It kind of brings back the design of the Pikmin 3 bosses, and then, like, it's the fucking music and just different phases, and just it's so goddamn cool. Also, Louie's an asshole. Louie's an asshole. That fucker on top of the fucking big ass dog. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. That's really all I have to say about Pikmin 4. Obviously, I have a little bit more nitpicks that I could probably talk about, but I just really don't feel like it because they're very minor and not that important. Like the auto lock feature being kind of fucky, but never really impacted me during my playthrough. It was well worth the wait from being very close to completion back in 2016. Yeah, I'm fucking sure. Honestly, I'm really interested in the development stories behind this game, just to see what the fuck took 10 years. Maybe it was Ochi, I don't fucking know. I try my best not to spoil much of the story, except for the little end right there, which just ignore that. But it's actually pretty good for a Pikmin game, which is a little weird. But like, please play this game. Please, I'm begging you, play this game. It's so fucking good. Oh my god, this game is so good. Play this game for yourself. You will not regret it. I can promise you. And while you're at it, pick up Pikmin 1 and 2 to get that other experience. And also, Pikmin 3 Deluxe while you're at it, because they're all on Switch. The entire series is on Switch. We don't talk about Hey Pikmin. The whole series is just such a hidden gem within Nintendo's history. I'm so glad that I was able to get into it. Looking forward to the 10-year wait for the next game, Miyamoto. Search now. Sign up for this when you took 10 years for the last game. Bye.